Live chat thing set up here. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and this is the Lifeboat, everybody. Boy, oh boy. If you didn't catch the goodbye letter / letters, sorry. See here? That's better. If you have not caught the goodbye letter today on the 5 o'clock, it technically was goodbye letters with an S, because there are two goodbye letters for one individual. It was they were written by Mr. Alan Ballantyne, and if you haven't got a chance to see them yet, people, they are absolutely phenomenal. They really are. It's such a great set of letters. A tribute to who Alan is. Really is just an excellent guy, and somebody that I could not be more proud of. He's fighting the good fight, and really has become a completely new creature, and in doing so has really just impressed everybody. You know, all everybody involved has just been sort of beside themselves in terms of just impressed about who Alan Ballantyne is becoming. And as I said, if you have not seen the letter that I wrote, I'm sorry, if you haven't seen the video that I did, I made a point of saying that, Alan and I have really become very, very close friends through this entire process. And that is something that I can't begin to tell you just how important he has become in my life. It's something that I don't know. It's humbling, people. When you start doing this, you'll meet some people. Mark, how are you, my friend? It's good to see you, Mark. I believe you're the first person here. So, how am I coming across? Hopefully you can hear me. The people, the goodbye letters are really becoming the backbone of what we're doing here. And it's something that I see moving forward. This is going to be something that we continue for a long period of time. Although tomorrow is Friday, and we will do a goodbye letter at 5 o'clock tomorrow. That will be the last of the goodbye letters for the week. And then what we will do is start again on the weekend and go from there. The weekends, we're not going to do the letters. I don't want to exhaust the series. I want to make sure that we string these along as possible, because they are such an integral part of what we're doing. I think it's something that's going to work out well during the week. Hold on one second, people. It's not something that I'm going to want to do each and every weekend. I don't think it's a benefit if it's something that we do too often, if you know what I'm saying. So, so if you're just popping in, you let us know who you are so that we can say hello to you and welcome you to the boat. People, if you missed the goodbye letter that I did at 5 o'clock today, it was actually two goodbye letters from one individual. Mr. Alan Ballantyne did his goodbye letter to both methamphetamine, and he also did a goodbye letter to alcohol. And two really, really powerful letters that they're a great statement on who Alan is, and it's also a very solid statement on exactly what it is we're doing with these letters. I could not be any happier with the direction that the boat is taking as far as that goes. It really is sort of becoming the complexion of the boat, if you know what I mean. And it's something that I'm awfully proud of. Okay, who do we have here? I can't read that name. I'd love to welcome you, but Speed Freely. Hey, Captain, been here a handful of times. Good vibes that I need right now. Thank you. You know what? We're happy to have you. Appreciate you stopping by the boat. We're doing this about 25 minutes, 30 minutes before we normally do. So we're Normally I would go up at 9, but because some of these have run really long, trying to keep this to maybe a slightly shorter time up here, so that they just don't become too I don't know. I mean, too much of anything is not a good thing. And hold one moment. But as I was just saying, if you just joined me, the goodbye letters are becoming the backbone or the framework of getting to know the crew, the people in the comment section that are here day in and day out. The best way to get to know these people is by reading these. We do have the playlist up now. That playlist is under the appropriate title of Goodbye Letters. And it has become also a tool that a lot of people have been using. Chi-Chi has been sharing these out. Mark Wages has been sharing these out. And it's such a great icebreaker. It's such a way to demonstrate to the world exactly what it is that we do on the Lifeboat. Because I can sit and talk all day long about addiction, and I could talk about drug of choice. I could talk about all of these different subjects, triggers. I mean, if you go back through I don't know what we're up to now, maybe 120 videos or somewhere in there. If you go back through all of those, there aren't too many areas within the rehab sphere, the rehab arena, that I have yet to touch on. But as much as I do those, nothing really brings it home like when you see these goodbye letters. This is such an opportunity for the outside world, people who have yet to have any kind of exposure to the Lifeboat. It's such a fantastic way for these people to first see what we do. And if you read the comments section, you are going to see some people that have said some really amazing things about those letters. And honestly, they're almost to the point where they're humbling. The things that people are saying really give you an idea of what the reactions that people are having to these goodbye letters are literally breathtaking. They really are. And that's not, again, people, I can't stress enough just how much that this entire boat, this entire channel, and this entire mission is really so much more about you than it is about anything else. Even the subject matter, as important as it is, what really is starting to really become evident really quickly is the fact that the crew that we have assembled here are just some of the greatest examples out there of fighting the good fight. And this is affecting people. There was a beautiful comment left by Jacqueline, and you know who she is. She's been on many of the live feeds, and she has left a message that said that she's just super enthused about what we're doing here at the Lifeboat, and that we have something really, really special that she could already tell, and she's just now dipping her toe into the waters, I believe is how she worded it. And my response back to her is the same as it would be to you or to anyone else that brings this up. When people say that what we have here is so unique and it is so wonderful, you hear a lot of really nice adjectives to describe what it is we have here. But I think that when it all comes down to it, what makes it wonderful, people, is the crew of this boat. The individuals who are here day in, day out, not just sharing their stories, but supporting the people who are sharing their stories. Now, I've had a couple of different text messages from people coming in that say they're trying to get onto this feed and can't. People, if you can't get onto this feed, just keep trying. Actually, I don't know what good it does for me to say that, because you're not going to hear it anyway. But yeah, there's some problems with YouTube because my phone is lighting up. But that's all right, because we're going to sit here and we're going to do what we do, and hopefully the people that are having a problem getting on will be able to get back in. I see Bent Genetics. Good to see you, my friend. We're glad that you joined us. I have been waxing eloquently for the last 5 or 10 minutes about the goodbye letters. The amount of feedback that we have gotten on this segment of the show, this really is an indicator of where the boat is going in the future. The best way that we can show people what it is we're doing and how we can show people, how much we care, and the fact that this really is a safe harbor for people who want to turn their life around. The best way to demonstrate that isn't me sitting here and talking for for videos. And it's good that we go over triggers and that we go over all of the different things that affect individuals on a daily basis. Basically, trying to give you tools so that if you're fighting the good fight, you're able to assemble sort of a toolbox, having everything that you need at your disposal, so that when you start to come across the challenges that are a part of every single person's recovery, that you know how to deal with them. So those shows are important. The ones that I do in the morning and the ones that I do at night, where I talk about the different issues concerning sobriety, forgiving yourself. There's about 120 of these videos, people, but nothing is getting the effect. Deja, excellent to see you. I'm so happy that you made it in. People have been having trouble. Hello, everyone. Trouble is here. She's not kidding. Deja, we're happy you made it in. Some people are having problems getting on, but we're glad you made it through. But yeah, people, as much as all of those videos are important, nothing right now. Nothing is really defining the complexion of this boat and of this mission quite like the goodbye letters. And it's really obvious when you go to the comment section and you read the things that are being written. And the best part, people, the part that really tickles me as the guy that gets to steer this vessel, is the number of people commenting that you don't recognize, people whose names are new to us because they're just checking out the boat for the first time. What a way to be exposed to the crew of the lifeboat. Better. There's nothing that we could be doing better than the goodbye letters. Just absolutely awesome. If you have not seen the letters that were posted today, there is actually 2 of them, and it's important to me that you see the this is Alan Ballantyne. Alan has become such a friend to me through this process. I have spoken many times. Oh my goodness. Speed Freddy says he lost his brother in February to booze and prescription pills. He's sick and tired of the drama that alcohol and drugs create. You know what, my friend? Our heart bleeds for you, and I mean that. I cannot tell you the number of people that everybody on this channel has lost in this war on drugs. The number of people that have been stolen in their prime by this is just unbelievable. But I think that what you're going to find here on the Lifeboat is a lot of people that, it's not a cliche. It's the reason we called this channel what we do. We're all in the same boat, whether we're fighting that addiction ourselves or we've been affected by drugs and alcohol, like in the way that you have. You're right. The drama that is caused by these chemicals and the lives that are destroyed by them are unbelievable. And there is not, the rest of the world doesn't seem to have a really seriously vested interest in doing anything about it. It makes for a great campaign promise, and it makes for a great speech to talk about the drugs coming into this country, or to talk about the abuse of prescription pills and how many people we're losing. But the truth of the matter is that every other day in this country, there's over 360 people that are overdosing and dying. That's every other day, right? 360 people. I use this all the time on the show. You've probably heard me say it before, but that's like a 747 crashing every other day. If that happened in this country, they would stop air travel. They would do whatever needed to be done to ensure that we did not lose one other life. But unfortunately, the powers that be and most of society have determined that those people fighting addictions are throwaways. They're people that don't need that society does not need to concern themselves with. And we here don't subscribe to that point of view. We believe that addicts are people too, and that there is a component to addiction that puts everyone in the same boat, regardless of whether or not your drug of choice or your habit of choice happens to line up with mine. If you are new to the channel, my drug of choice was heroin. I abused almost everything at some point or another during the time that I was a user. But the drug of choice, the one that really owned me for better than a couple of decades, was heroin, and it absolutely devastated my life. It got to a point where I lost everything, including my freedom. I wound up incarcerated in the federal prison system. In fact, I'm still technically I'm still a ward of the federal government for another couple of years, because once you leave prison, they attach a very long tail to you that they refer to as probation. Normally, in the state facilities, probation means that you didn't have to go to jail. In the federal system, they did away with parole because it was basically thought to be a cruel system, because you get sentenced twice, right? You get sentenced, and then whether or not you get parole is another sentence, and you basically have to keep paying for the same crime. So they did away with it. Of course, as often happens with government, as opposed to really doing away with it, what they did instead was change the name. So when you leave federal prison now, you go on to, instead of parole, you go on to probation. But it is the same thing. It requires, phoning into a 800 number every night at 7 o'clock and entering your 5-digit code to find out whether or not you have to go and take a drug test. This goes on for years. On top of that, there is ordered counseling, and a officer that basically watches your development along the way. And not that I'm bad mouthing my officer or the system or anything else, but it's astounding because they want to put you through a program to see whether or not you understand the concepts of addiction. And when I go in to do one of these meetings, I'm not bragging, I'm not doing anything else, but if you knew how often I do one of these intakes, and the person sitting across from me has zero experience when it comes to addiction of any kind. And I'm not even talking about just, the street stuff where they've been out and doing those substances. I do believe you can learn a tremendous amount about addiction from study. That's just a stone cold fact. You can learn an awful lot about addiction from actually studying the components of it and how it works on the body. However, you learn a different type of experience when you live it. Now, if you've taken the time to do both, the nice thing that happened to me when I was sent to federal prison was, hey, Joe Birdwell, people, Joe is in the house. Joe's one of our heroes right now. If you people don't know who Joe is, Joe's goodbye letter was read last evening, and Joe is fighting the good fight. I couldn't be more proud of anybody. Honestly, right now, Joe is just, he's making all of us proud. And a great example, people, of why these goodbye letters are as important as they are. Joe was able to affect people with the letter that he wrote. Already, I've got people who wrote to me and said, I never quit either, because, Joe is one of those individuals, and we've talked about this. He's been very open with it. He said for better than 17 years, he never tried once. There was never at any point did he to try to give up his drug of choice. Now there are people out there who's reading and hearing his story who say, you know what, if he can do it, I can do it. Keith from, Keith, you're a good man. Keith is one of my favorite people. Really happy that he's in the house as well. Welcome, Keith. So if you have not written a goodbye letter to drugs and you're comfortable doing this, then please write one, send it to me. My email address is right in is listed up on each video. It's captaintommyscoville@gmail.com. If you are not comfortable having your goodbye letter read on the air, then write it and put it in a desk drawer at your house. But I cannot begin to tell you just how important it is to put that punctuation mark on your use and to open the door to your future. Mark Wages sent me over his goodbye letters, and you're going to be hearing it. I'm going to be reading his on the air, obviously. But and after he sent it over, I got another message from him that said, it really, really affected me. And I get that so often from people that decide to do this exercise, who sit down to do it and then realize after the fact that it really is. It's a very emotional thing. It's stepping up and acknowledging your past, and in a very real and excited way, looking to your future. And they have been such a benefit to the boat and to the crew of the boat. You must realize, people, what these do for all of the people who are watching. You understand that no matter how much I sit here and I say, we're all in the same boat. All of us have been down the same road, and we really are all in the same boat. I can say that until the end of time. But when you hear a letter, yes, Joe, we absolutely can keep you occupied and help work with you, Joe. When this is over, drop me an email, because there's some things that we can talk about privately, in terms of, because you're to the point now where you're going to be progressing through this, because this is the very first time that you've ever gone down the road to recovery. There are some things that you can do, and there are some things that you are going to have to do in order to safeguard your sobriety, in order to have a plan that is going to work. It's crazy, people. It really is. But so oftentimes in rehabilitation, it's one of the few things in life that we attempt, and we do so without a plan at all. We say, well, I'm going to stop using. I mean, that's certainly the start, right? To put down the pipe or the straw or the needle, the bottle, whatever it is that that's afflicting you. Setting that down is most assuredly the start of the process, but it is definitely not by a long shot what it takes to make it work. So, yeah, changing your whole routine is essential. Also, yeah, we'll go over this, but it's a matter of the cliches are all there. You need to change places and peoples and things, right? So the places you hung out, the people you hung out with, the things that you did, all of these things need to change, and that's a really beautiful concept. When it comes time to putting that into play, it's easy. If you take me as an example, I went to prison, right? I spent a pretty decent amount of time locked up. When I got out, because I was a federal inmate, not a state inmate, I was sent to a state other than the one that I live in. So I went and got a job and worked and sort of started to rebuild my life in California. During the time that I was incarcerated, most of the people that I know who were in the life with me died. I'm not being flippant. I'm just telling you the truth. Because of what my drug of choice was, it just meant that a lot of the people who were very close to me overdosed and died on drugs. And because of that, avoiding people that I used to spend time with was considerably easier. Brett H., good to see you. You say you're a head case. You know what, Brett? We all have a certain quality of that in our lives. But you know what? We're fighting the good fight. Don't beat yourself up, my brother. Just start looking to the future. I promise you that your best days are in front of you. Mr. Buck Lau, did I hear the news of the USP Atlanta? It closed because of the corrupt prison system there. I did not know that USP Atlanta closed, the United States Penitentiary at Atlanta. However, if you had said to me that one prison in the federal system was going to close because of corruption, I would have been able to tell you which one. It was literally famous for how corrupt it was. One of the things that really sticks out when people talk about that specific facility is that it acts as a hub. So if you're being transported within the federal system, you're going to go through either Oklahoma or Atlanta, and they're going to put you up there for a period of time. And I have actually gone through Atlanta, and I swear to you, this is the truth. I got put into a cell with one other guy, and I was waiting to be transported from there to the United States Penitentiary at Lewisburg, which is in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. It was a special management unit, a Supermax. And the guard came up to the door and asked us if we wanted to buy any drugs while we were there. If so, we should talk to the porter, the man that was going around and cleaning up and doing all of that. When I'm not going to lie to you, people, at that point I was still using. This was before I got sober, and said, absolutely, we want drugs. What can we get? And not only was there a long list of it, but they brought us a cordless phone to make phone calls from inside the cell to try to get somebody to send money. The corruption at that penitentiary was unbelievable. How much the people there were just running a system that definitely was more about making money for the guards and the staff, and the guys that were working as porters were wearing street clothes, walking around in Nike Air Jordans and had gold chains. It was not like anything that I had ever seen before. It really was bizarre. I had not heard, but that's great. If they're actually making some headway into cleaning up that system, then that is a dream. Sorry, people, just trying to catch a couple of these messages as they are coming through. People, if you're just joining us, I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and you're on the Lifeboat. This is our live feed. People, the purpose of the live feed, more than anything else, really is for us to get to know one another. It really is just an opportunity for you guys to sort of talk to one another in the in the comment section. It ends up being more like a chat room. It also gives people an opportunity to ask questions of me that hopefully I can answer, so that it's more about building a relationship. The nuts and bolts of what we do you can find in the videos that have been done up to this point. Those videos are really about addiction and the processes of addiction, all of the different things that a person needs to know if they're going to start the process of trying to get sober, actually putting together some kind of a game plan. Verte, excellent to see you, my friend. Always a pleasure when you're here. Verte, I really dig your channel too, by the way. Absolutely love that channel. And if one of the people wants to put up a link to Verte's channel, it is fascinating stuff. If one of the mods wants to put that up, that would be great. People, I would recommend checking it out. The same with Wages World. I think most of you have been over to Wages World. If you have not done so, then you may want to check that out. It really is something special. Hey, Saigon Cinnamon, he says, another night with no notification. This, people, is why I have been beating the drum for our own bell. Derek N says, what's up, Tommy? Derek, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. People, we have a new email address. That email address is ourownbell, right? ourownbell@gmail.com. And what that is going to be, it's going to be a way for us to send out notification to everybody when videos or live feeds go up. We seem to have more problem with the live feeds than we do with the videos, but we will be doing both of those. He didn't get notification either, says Derek N. Well, then please send an email to ourownbell@gmail.com. It's not that we're not trusting our new partner with their bell, but it does seem to have a problem. I'm not bad-mouthing YouTube, people. They have 60 million content creators that they need to take care of business on, and from time to time, it does not seem to work beautifully. And I'm sorry, hold on one second here, people. He says, thank you, Tommy. I'm doing a special video dedicated to the Lifeboat. That is absolutely awesome, Verte. Honestly, I'm honored. I really look forward to seeing that. I love what you do. People, it's fascinating stuff, and I do believe that this affects every single aspect of our life. The things that are discussed over on his channel are fascinating. They really are. Saigon Cinnamon, I am so happy that you are here. Another one of my favorite people. Keith at Andrew's Pepper Patch says he did not get that. Explains the low number for tonight. Well, the other thing, Keith, is that we started a little bit early, so even the people that don't get the notifications usually come looking at about between 9 and 9:10. So we definitely started out a little slow, and then I got some text messages from people who were saying they couldn't get on the feed. So I would say that YouTube is having some issues, and that's unfortunate, but it is the nature of what we do, and we will overcome. The Schumann resonance affects everything, says Mark. Absolutely it does. People, if you don't understand this concept, I'm not going to lie to you, it's new to me as well, but it's basically the vibration that keeps us normal. And my understanding is that when you get to outer space and that specific vibration resonance is not there, that people get sick and have all kinds of trouble. How's the federal prison gang framework? Did you ever want to or were encouraged to join one? Oh, I was encouraged. I was encouraged. As you people probably know, I shave my head. And I have been shaving my head for a very long period of time. It is a fashion statement. It is not a symbol of hate. I am not that individual. But in the Mike Hawk, good to see you. In the federal system, there is a very serious, a very serious hierarchy within the gang situation, and the it basically breaks into a couple of different camps. You've got the white guys. Mike, we're glad you're here, no matter how long you are. You've got the white boys who are broken up into a number of different prison gangs. The largest of which being the one that everyone is aware of. That would be the one whose initials start with the first couple of letters of the alphabet. And I'm not going to I'm not going to be doing any kind of bad mouthing or anything of prison gangs, because it's a dangerous thing to do. What I will tell you is that they are absolutely there, and that almost everything is controlled by them. There is also a very large presence split between the Northerners and the Southerners for the Latin community. So there are an awful lot of those people that who are very active. The prison gangs thing is huge in the system, and everywhere I went, it's tough to tell because you always see me from here up, but I'm 6'2", and when I was in prison was about 280 pounds. I've dropped that down considerably trying to get healthy, but because of my size, I used to get things all of the time that said, we're looking for frontline soldiers. We're looking for guys that, can tip up is the term that they traditionally use, which means, to join a prison gang. It is not something I was willing to do. Really, what it boils down to for me is that I'm not going to hate anybody because somebody tells me to hate people. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm the salt of the earth and there's nobody that I hate. I wish that were the case, and I'm really trying to be better at it. That's the gospel truth. My new mantra is hate the hate, not the haters. But I'm not going to hate entire groups of people and join a gang that forces me to do so. And I'm not going to lie to you, it made life difficult. Choosing to not be in a prison gang is not the easy choice in federal prison. It is the difficult choice. He says, just because of my white skin and have ink, mainly an anarchy tat on me, does that make you a racist? No, I don't think that makes you a racist. I think that what makes you a racist is if you hate people based on the color of their skin versus, hating them for who they are. No, I don't think image of any kind makes somebody racist. What it does, when you get to prison and you look like this, they assume that, as soon as I walked through the door, the people who shared my skin tone assumed instantly that I was a racist, because very often in federal prison, shaving your head is a statement that you belong to a certain philosophy. And I grew a ponytail, while I was in federal prison. I guess you would call it a bullet, like the bald mullet, because I'm getting awfully thin on the top. But I just stopped cutting my hair while I was in there because it cut down a great deal on confusion. But I also have plenty of tattoos, and I go through the same thing that you do. There are a lot of people, especially once they find out that I've been incarcerated, who see that I've got a sleeve and I'm bald, and instantly it's assumed that I'm a racist. And the really funny thing is that if you get a look at my tattoos up close, it's a sleeve dedicated to Alice in Wonderland. Which is not probably the hardest and toughest of prison tattoos, but it's prison ink, and at a distance, all they see is the fact that there's no color in it and assume that it's. But no, absolutely not, my friend. That does not make you a racist. What makes somebody a racist is pretty cut and dry. Prison politics have a strict code, and he's right. All judgment and assumptions at that point. You know what? And it's funny that they use the term politics, but that is the term, absolutely. And certain prisons have politics that are very designed and very serious. Those usually tend to be the United States penitentiaries, and I've been to a handful of those. I also was at a handful of federal correction institutions, FCIs. The FCIs tend to have much less politics, with a couple of really notable exceptions. One being Victorville. Victorville FCI was just about as difficult a yard to be on as any United States penitentiary I've ever seen. It was super super violent. He says Florida prisons rough, feds and state. Absolutely, the Fed system for Florida, you've got Coleman 1, Coleman 2, and then a whole bunch of FCIs. But the Coleman 1 and 2 have a reputation for being, one has become a dropout yard for people who are being protected, and often have vile crimes as one of the reasons. But the one that is active is got a vicious reputation. But the truth is that at the penitentiary level in the federal system, there are none that are pleasant. There aren't any that one would consider soft. They're all very very well established in terms of the politics. And when you get there and you get off the bus, you are required to put work in. And what that basically means is you're going to end up having to hurt somebody. People will get killed or worse over the phone. Florida don't want you back. Yes, it is. The whole system is insane. It really is. But I'm just thankful on a day-to-day basis that that's something that's in my rearview mirror. It is a part of my life that will always be a part of my life. There's no getting around that. It has left me with a very different opinion on people who are locked up. I was, much like so many other people in this country and in this world, I was the guy that says, lock them up and throw away the key, until I was the one that was locked up. He says, my ink is what makes me look bad now, I guess. I can't even talk to a person without them thinking that I'm a bad guy, but my ink is my life story. You know something? This is a difficult thing, and it's something that people need to deal with. And I mean, not us. We have to take into account, I understand because of the life that I lived, that I'm going to get a certain amount of blowback. I'm going to get a certain amount of blowback. And at some level, I earned a little bit of that. But I don't want strangers treating me that way. When someone finds out that I've been to prison and someone finds out that, I understand there are people for whom they're never going to forgive that. And that's just the nature of the beast, I think. But when a stranger does it, it hurts. It really does. Now, on the flip side of that, there are individuals, I told this story, I don't know if I told this story on the air, but I was telling this story to somebody. I went into Walmart about 2 weeks ago, and there was a guy in Walmart that had done the whole headpiece, right? I'm talking about from the neck to the top of his head, there was maybe 2 square inches that didn't have ink on it. And that did not include his eyelids or anything else. He had taken the step of tattooing his eyeballs, which is not that kind of tattoo, but it is adding ink to the eye. And it's not something that's fun even to talk about, but there's a process that they do that literally makes the eye either blue or red or black. This gentleman had opted for black, so he had completely black eyes. I assume they were tatted. I guess they could have been contacts, but knowing how many people do it in the system, I assumed it was tatted. But his eyes were completely jet blacked out, and his whole face was slung back, his head, everything. And the ink was political in nature. Let's put it that way. There was a symbol that had been used extensively in World War II that was prominently displayed on the top of this man's head. But the crazy thing is, as we were all standing getting ready to go into those checkout lines that you run yourself, there's a big line waiting there. And the guy looked at a woman who was looking at him and said, you got an effing problem? And I don't know, I found myself saying, you tattooed your entire head, right? You blacked out your eyes, and you didn't think that people were going to stare at you? I mean, what were you doing this for if you didn't, want attention? Because you're not going to blend in. He says, I've never seen an eye tatted until he was locked up. Definitely crazy. So do you have done some time, Derek? Okay. No, trust me, no judgment here. Thank God you're out, brother. Thank God that's in your rearview mirror, huh? And you know something? It's crazy, people. There's no way to make somebody understand this. There really isn't. Derek does, but there's no way to make somebody understand this. I am instantly right now. I feel a different level of connection to the camera because there's somebody there that did time. There's no way to explain this. But if you put a couple of people that have been incarcerated in the same room, the way they talk becomes very similar to people that have been in war, and for good reason. Derek has probably seen people killed. If he has not, he most assuredly has seen a ton of them stabbed. And the things that you see when incarcerated are things that there's no getting away from. You know, there are things that we're going to carry with us for the rest of our lives. And when you try to explain this to somebody that hasn't been there, no matter how kind that person wants to be, or how loving that person wants to be, or how understanding, they can't. And it really is, it's a bizarre thing. And I actually, I go to a group as part of my being on probation for the feds. I have to go to groups once a week. And it is, as much as they want it to be a drug group, what it becomes each week is really more of a support group for people who have done time, because there are things that most people don't run through their head that we deal with that you almost wouldn't even think of. For instance, I can tell you that when Derek got out, he was used to sleeping on a bed this wide, right? So I came back to my home and I got, a king size bed, right? A really big bed. And for, the longest period of time, I didn't use more than a foot of it. You become so ingrained to that when you roll over, you put one hand down, you push yourself up and pivot, because if you actually rolled over in a prison bed, you'd be on the floor. It's crazy things, but you get used to sleeping with a ton of noise, right? I lay in my room when I can't sleep, when the insomnia kicks in, and it's silent. And you go for years without hearing silence. There is never a time in prison when it's quiet. And if it is, really bad things are about to happen. Derek could probably back me up on this. When if you're in the chow hall, or you're in the library, or you're somewhere even on the yard, and all of a sudden it gets really quiet, it's probably a good idea to try to get your back against a wall, because something is about to happen. And there's a sort of a sixth sense that the convict or the incarcerated individual, whatever you want to call them, we just know when it's coming. He says, how would I evaluate prison for white collar crimes compared to medium security prisons? Here's the deal. Sorry, I said it again. Here's the deal. As far as the white collar crime thing goes, in the feds, more often than not, they go to camps, and they don't even have fences. He says, I can't go to sleep without a phone or a TV on, brother. It's making me go crazy. You know something? You and me both, man. I am suffering so badly with insomnia, and I have since I got out. It's I've been out a minute. In fact, I've basically been out a year on this, and I'm not even close to being able to have anything that resembles normal sleep yet in any way. And it's not the drugs. I gave those up a long time ago. I got sober in prison. That's when the transformation for me started. But I understand what you're going through on that. We are definitely on the same boat with that. And I do the same thing. I either keep an iPad or a phone, and it doesn't even matter what's on, as long as I don't put on things like movies. And I don't know if this helps you or yes or no. I don't do like white noise stuff like a lot of people do. I try to find things where it's a debate. I'm not kidding you. You play debates, it's the best, because honestly, in prison, you usually have 2 or 3 people yelling at each other. I'm not kidding. The noise that I have an easier time sleeping to than anything is the sound of people arguing. Sounds crazy, right, people? But again, this is just a phenomenon that took place. Back to the white collar thing. In the federal system, white collar criminals do time in a camp. The camps don't have fences. More often than not, they have loved ones meet them in the parking lot during the day. They bring them illegal substances. They have a level of freedom that is really ridiculous. It gives them the opportunity to almost live as if they're on the streets. I knew some people that were in a camp setting, and their job was to pick up parts for the USP that was next door, and they would literally go and drive into town. Right? This is a convict getting in a van, driving into town, picking things up, and then bringing them back. And I was at the Federal Corrections Institution in Arizona, and we were right next to a USP that's a dropout USP. But the FCI didn't have a hole. The segregated housing unit, right, the special housing unit that most people call the hole, had been shut down because they just don't have a lot of people that get in trouble. So if you got in trouble, you get transegged across the street to the USP. And the weird thing was, when you get transegged over there, you have USP inmates, you have FCI inmates, and then you had the campers, and all of us got thrown into the shoe. Now, you're obviously not in the same cell because they separate you, but there would be people in there from the camps. And this guy said, I said, what sent you to the hole? He goes, I got busted drinking. And I said, what were you drinking? He goes, wine. Well, that's pretty standard for prison. So I was like, what'd you make it out of? He's like, no, I got caught with 2 bottles of Merlot. Okay, they're doing really different time than we were doing. We were at an FCI, and I'll tell you, some of you will get a kick out of this. Some of you won't even know necessarily what I'm talking about. But if you've ever seen the movie Fridays, right? I'm sure a lot of you have seen the movie Friday. Okay, there's a guy in there, a character they call Debo, right? Well, Debo was the guy that drove the van when I got in trouble and I had to go from the FCI to the USP. He was at the camp there, and his job was to drive inmates back and forth for transeg. He also drove inmates to doctor's appointments or whatever in town. We're shackled. We're not like he is. But I went to get in the car to go to the shoe. I got in trouble there. And I looked at him and I was like, you look a lot. And he's like, yeah, no, I am. He was in there for some kind of trouble that he got. Exactly. See, Mark Wages knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, he got in trouble for some white collar stuff, had to do with some real estate scam or whatever. But he was the inmate that drove me over to the shoe. I was almost excited about it. When I got over there, the guys in the shoe didn't have much nice to say about him. Apparently, he was referred to by that 3-letter word that often is used to describe people who tell. It also describes a small rodent, usually white or gray in color. And I won't say much more of that because I would be talking ill of the dead. Apparently he has passed away and is no longer with us. So rest in peace, Debo. But the white collar guys live a completely different life. And they also are treated different from Jump Street. I was never offered bail on any federal case. They wouldn't even give me a bail hearing. It was just thrown out of pocket, out of hand, pro forma. You're not leaving. You're going to be in here until your case or until you plead guilty. Now, in the federal system, everybody pleads guilty. For real, the number of people that actually take it to trial is such a small number because you can't win. If you want to talk about the odds being stacked against you, if you're in trouble and you're going to court, let's say you get in trouble for something in the state, pick anything. We're on a rehabilitation channel. So say you get caught for possession, right? And you go to court and you have all the money in the world. You might do some things to really try to ensure that you have a better chance of beating your case. You might go as far as to hire an excellent law firm, correct? So you look at the biggest law firm you've got in town. You may go as far as hiring a really good private investigator to go out and investigate the crime so that you have the police's version and then you have the private investigator's version. Okay, well, if you get in trouble in the feds and you try doing this, the competition, right, the United States of America, has the FBI, which is the largest private investigative firm on the planet, right? They have more agents in every state in the union. There's just no fighting that. And then the lawyers that will be trying you, the prosecutors, are from the Department of Justice, right? Which, if you think about it, is the largest law firm on the planet. How do you fight that? And look, here's the thing. Guilty. I've never, especially in the feds, I was never accused of something that I didn't do. I was guilty for what I was accused of. I pled guilty. There was no sense in me fighting it. Although when you plead guilty, you still fight the case. In theory, at least as you set up your ability to try to get the smallest sentence possible, you still work with a lawyer. He says, being locked up is like being in war, man. PTSD can come from both 100%. And I never knew about PTSD until I got out. Now I can't even sleep without looking out my window. It sucks. You have PTSD. And the fact of the matter is that almost nobody gets out of prison unless you're in prisony land, right? Unless you're in one of those white collar country club prisons, you're going to leave prison with PTSD. You're going to. People that it's so barbaric and bizarre, it's hard to wrap your brain around. When you get to a new yard and they say to you, you have to put work in, it means the next person that needs to get beat up, stabbed, or run off this yard, you're the one to do it. So I would get to Victorville and they say, you're fourth in line. And I'm like, what does this mean, right? I was a guy that didn't go to prison until he was old. I wasn't in and out of prison my entire life. I didn't, my first prison sentence didn't happen until I was in my late 30s. So by the time I got to Victorville, I was 45 years old. And the guy said, what it means is, the next person that screws up, we find out they're a rat. We find out that their paperwork is bad, meaning they have a crime against children or something like that. Your job is going to be to go in there and get them off the yard, either beat them so badly that they have to leave or stab them. And this isn't an option, people. Like, you can sit and say, well, I'm taking the high road. No, you're not. It's not an option, because if you say, well, I'm not putting work in, they go, oh, okay. So the next guy on the list gets you. It's your choice. So, and by the way, if you say, well, I'm just not going to do that, then I'll get stabbed. When you go to the next yard, it's going to happen again. But as soon as you get off the bus on the next yard, they're going to go, this guy didn't put work in at the last yard, which means he's no good. And before you get to your bunk, they're going to attack you. And they're not going to send one guy. They're going to send 2, 3, 4. Many times they're going to come in with weapons. And the weapons, everybody knows what a shiv is, right? Or a shank, a bone crusher, whatever you want to call it. It's a piece of metal that they sharpen into a point. And it's amazing how good they get at this. But the other option is very popular in the federal system, because we all have a locker that has a padlock on it. They will take a padlock, or in some cases 2, and put them on a belt. You understanding what I'm talking about? Like a mace, and they come in. And if you get hit with one of those, your head is split. There's no two ways about it. And it's going to split you to the white meat. And this is going to be one of those things that you see. The reason that Derek is going through it, the reason that he's looking over his shoulder, is because that's how we lived for the entire time we were incarcerated. And this is the system that they have put in place to try and rehabilitate people. No, they're not rehabilitating people. What they're doing is ruining them. It really is. Or melted plastic, absolutely. Melted plastic is often called a friendly because it will go through a metal detector. Plastic is really popular if they can get linoleum. The old linoleum that they used to use to cover the flooring in federal prison was really popular because it won't break. There also, certain types of stainless steel will pass through a metal detector. When I was stabbed at Victorville, I had just gone through the metal detector. I had just walked through it, and the gentleman who stabbed me had just gone through the metal detector, and he had 2 of them. He managed to pull 2 knives and work on me with them, and he had no problem at all getting through the metal detector. It's almost like a fish in the ocean, right? There's always a larger fish that can eat you, and you basically have to keep your eyes open 24 hours a day to see if that fish is hungry. Because in the federal system, and I'm sure it's no different in the state, I didn't have a chance to go to any tough prisons in the state, but if they get bored, I mean, you're talking in a lot of cases of people that are spending their entire life in prison, and this becomes their recreation. They create drama for no apparent reason so that they can then go and do something about it. And it's disturbing, and it's constant. And Derek, I apologize if I'm bringing up subject matter that's going to make you feel bad. He says, I hate acting like I am crazy around my children and my wife, man, but I literally can't stop looking over my shoulder. And being on subs doesn't help me. Doesn't help. It got me off the dope, though. You know what? That's a real issue, because if you're on subs and you're taking strips or you're taking pills, we got so used to being, we had an opportunity. Hold one second. Tommy, I'm 24, drank a water bottle a day of vodka since I was a teenager. I'm going into medical detox. Do you think I will make it? Absolutely, you're going to make it. I'll come right back to you, Derek. Absolutely, you're going to make it. I don't care if you were drinking 2 of those water bottles a day, my brother. The beautiful thing that you've got going for you is your age. You are the most resilient cat out there when you're in your 20s. This is something that you absolutely will bounce back from, and you will bounce back from it awesome. You really will. But you're gonna have to take this on as if it's a fight. This is not something, even though you're getting medical assist. And by the way, if you're drinking a water bottle a day of vodka, you should be getting medical assistance. People, I say it a lot. I'm not a doctor, right? I don't give out medical advice. But if you are drinking that much vodka, you're not wanting to do this alone. You need to make sure that you've got a professional there to help you through the detox. Once that detox is over, that's when the fight's going to start for you. But if you attack this, oh man, you're 24, bro. I've said this. It's one of my favorite expressions, and this is for you right now. Believe me, man. Your best days are in front of you. I promise you, your best days are in front of you. He says, I have been shot and woke up during shoulder surgery. I'm always paying attention to my surroundings and nightmares. Yeah, back to subs, Derek. We were used to heroin, and heroin is a painkiller that takes away all pain. Fear is a form of pain. Doing heroin in prison is so popular because it can make you forget you're in prison. You can walk around and joke and do what you do because it removes the fear that you have every minute of every day if you're not on heroin. And I did plenty of time both ways. And it was very difficult doing it without it. And then once you get on subs, there's a misnomer that that Suboxone is just going to be just like heroin, but you just put it under your tongue or you just eat the pill or whatever the case may be. And it's going to be just like heroin, but you won't have to buy it go out and hustle for it or anything else. It is nothing like heroin. It really isn't. What it does is coat the brainstem so that your body goes, oh, I don't need that. But it's not doing what heroin does. You're not going to get the relief. You're not going to get but on the bright side, it knocked out that craving, Derek. So you have the opportunity to then work on yourself. And I'm telling you this from the heart, brother, because I'm doing it. You got to get counseling, man. You got to get counseling. The crap that we saw in there, and how many times did you laugh about it? For real. Like when you were in there, you're telling somebody the story. I can tell you, when I got out of prison the first time, I was at a dinner party with a girl that I was with at the time, who I won't embarrass and tell you that whole story. But I was with a girl and we went to a dinner party. I got a tie on, right? And I clean up well. I had no goatee. I looked like I might have been a doctor or a lawyer. And the girl that I was there with was a professional. She had a career, but somebody there knew that I had been incarcerated, and at this dinner party that it came out. It is what it is. What are you going to do? But people who haven't been there are either fascinated by it or they want to pick on you. And the guy said, so you've been to the joint? I said, yep, I did a little time. And he didn't even want to know what for. He just immediately started with questions. Is it as bad as they say it is? Is somebody getting raped every 30 seconds? And you just, you go through this. But he said, what was the one of the worst things that you had ever seen? Well, by that point, I hadn't been to a USP yet. So I had seen some things happen, but what I had not seen was anybody murdered yet. Since then, I've seen plenty of people murdered in prison. But at the time, the worst thing that I had seen was a particular stabbing. And he goes, tell us the story. So I tell the story. I said, at laundry, they got these scissors that are like this long, and they're for cutting the pants. Well, a pair of these scissors broke. And when something like that breaks, it gets put into what's called the hot trash. Well, somebody successfully got this out of the hot trash, and he had a blade this long professionally made. And he had the part not where your thumb went into, but the part that your hand went into. So that guy had a bone crusher. He had a big, big knife. And I was sitting with some friends. We were playing cards. And one of the guys next to me said, see that guy on the phone? He's about to get it. So I started making my way toward my cell, because you never know if when someone says he's going to get it, both groups are going to come in, and there's going to be. So I started making my way toward my cell, but you want to see what happens. It's human nature. And I'm looking. So this guy runs from about 15 feet away. He's just running at the guy. And the guy's like this on the telephone, leaning against a cork board that we put, announcements and the, things of that nature on. And the guy came and ran it through him. Now, he didn't get his heart or anything else, but he got it right above. And it went all the way through him and stuck into the cork board behind him. And they couldn't get it off. Apparently, it went through the cork board and got into the whatever that substance is that they make, some kind of concrete. But it lodged in there. So this guy is stuck over to this cork board. And He's basically impaled up there. There's a guy over there that has got his foot on the wall. And the guard is trying to pull this thing out, and they can't get it. So now they got 2 or 3 guards that are holding this guy and trying to pull it out. And as I'm telling the story, I'm starting to laugh like I am now. I'm not laughing because it's funny, people. I'm laughing because it was terrifying. And the way that people deal with things like that is through different defense mechanisms. And for convicts, it's almost always something that gets clowned about. But I'm laughing about this, and I look up, and every single person at this dinner party is like this. I mean, no one is saying a word, mouths absolutely, completely wide open, like, what the hell is wrong with this dude? And I was like, immediately go back to what you're doing. I'm like, I guess you got to be there, But it was such an eye opener for not only me, but for the girl that I was with, that all of a sudden, here you are, and I'm back in this real world, but it's, I'm still dragging a decent amount of that with me. I know you're going through that, Derek. Get counseling, brother. It's not a manhood thing. You know what I mean? I know that as convicts, it's, you go to counseling, you're basically considered a wuss, or, the 2 words that we never use, but you're not. You know what I mean? You went through something heavy. If you were a veteran, people would be patting you on the back and telling you what a great guy you were. But you went through something heavy, and instead the world tells you you're a dirtbag. Counseling has helped me. It really has. He says, I have always had my fears, my tears with laughter. Bro, sucks, but it's how I deal with it. You know what? I'm telling you, man, it's everybody deals with things differently, but the level of laughter, people, if you knew the depravity, I mean, of what the prison system in this country has come to. I watched a guy fall, no violence. He was on the way to the chow hall at the 5:30 chow call. And you're all walking through this concrete walkway, and you got the guard towers above and all of that. Well, this guy just drops. He was an elderly dude, and he had a heart attack. It was his time had come, But he fell to the ground and started grabbing his chest and rolling around. And then he just stopped moving, plain and simple, just stopped. And a guy got down there and felt his neck, and he said, the guy looked up and he goes, well, and he said, no, man, this guy's dead. And the guy standing next to him said, are you sure he's dead? He goes, yeah, no, he's dead. And we're waiting for the guards to come running out. So when he goes, yeah, no, I'm sure he's dead, the guy who asked said, what size shoes has he got? And the whole place just starts laughing. That's where we're at. That was the place we were at. Here's a guy lying dead on the sidewalk, and someone wanting to know if he can steal his shoes. I mean, that's really, and it was funny to everybody. And I laughed. I did. It's just that it breaks you down and turns you into something that you're not. But you're out now, Derek. And I'm telling you, you're going to need some counseling. You are. You need to go in and talk about it and get the stuff off your chest. I did an entire video about me watching somebody die, that I didn't kick the door. The politics. If I start kicking the door, and it wasn't my race, right? So if I start kicking the door at any kind of warning, I'm a dead man. And I was in a Supermax facility where you wreck in a cage outside for an hour a day, and there's 6 men to a cage. I wouldn't have made it a day. I would have been killed the following day. But I still should have done something, and I didn't. And I have nightmares about it. I did a whole video about it. If you go back through and look, you can see it. And I did the video because I had had the nightmare the night before, and it every time I have it, I mean, it can screw me up for 2 or 3 days. And I've told the story before, but the man was stomped to death. And when I have the nightmares, it's never the victim that's getting stomped. It's always somebody that I really, really love. It might be my daughter, or it might be my brother, or whoever. It's just, yeah, you need counseling, man. You really do. And people, I'm going to curse because it's germane to the subject matter, but it doesn't make you a bitch. That's a term that's used in prison. And, usually in prison, if you were to go ask for help, everyone would go, oh, that bitch, he went down there and did that. If somebody says the word bitch or somebody says the word punk, it's an instant fist fight. You have to. If you don't, it means that people can go in and steal your stuff, and you might get worse. You could be assaulted sexually. I did see a question on a lighter note that asked about food in prison. It is not food. Don't mistake it for one hot second. It is not food. And the hot sauce they sell is not hot enough to actually take the sting off. Basically, all you could get in there was sriracha, and I would go through a bottle to 2 bottles of it a week, trying to make whatever it is that they bring you palatable. The trouble with the food is, even if they're trying, and they're not, the inmates are stealing the meat, stealing the ingredients. If there's cheese in the meal, they're going to steal it. They're going to sell it out the back door. So Yeah, it's awful. It's people. The bottom line is stay sober, and you can avoid prison, and you don't have to worry about any of these things. To the gentleman who was asking about the vodka, my brother, you really do need to go in and get help. But you're 24. You've got the best chance of recovery of anyone. He says, you know what's weird, man? Some nights I will be free, but then when it hits me hard, I will literally wake up soaked in sweat. My wife doesn't understand, and I don't want to, and I don't want her to. Mine was bolting upright. When I have the nightmare, I sit up and scream, and it's definitely tough if you've got a significant other. My ex-wife dealt with it, and it's traumatizing to the people around you. As much as you don't want her to know, and I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but it helped a lot with my wife when I told her exactly what was going on with me. And it helped me because if I did wake up screaming before I got a chance to really freak out, she was there saying to me, you had a dream, you're not in prison, sort of taking the edge off, and it really did help. He says, I do go to a group every week for my sub-doctor. Helps somewhat, I guess. Here's the thing with the group, too. I do a group. I also do one-on-one. I probably get more out of the group because everybody in there's a convict, but we sort of took the group over and we talk about PTSD more than we talk about anything. You really have to bring your issues to light, and that's not always easy either. You're in a tough spot, Derek. You really are. Reach out to me, brother. My email address is up there. It's captaintommyscoville@gmail.com, and reach out to me. Let's exchange some contact info, because if there are times that this is really killing you, I mean, at least I'm a guy that's been there, and you can reach out to me, and then we can talk. I have found that nothing else works other than talking to someone who understands, because you don't have to feel like you're trying to explain something that can't be understood. You can talk about whatever the issue is, because that aspect of it is taken off the table. And I hope everybody understands the importance of what I just said, because it's not just about prison. It's about everything that we do here. You understand? In the real world, you have to try to explain to somebody the voice that calls to you to do drugs. You have to explain to somebody the desire that can't be described. And then you have to tell them what your problems are, right? If you say, well, I'm having a hard time paying rent because of X, Y, and Z. Well, that's not the issue. The issue then becomes, my entire life, I've had this voice that screams to me every single time something is going wrong. So now I can't pay rent, and that voice is screaming louder than it ever has. If you come to a place where everybody understands whatever that voice is, well, then you don't have to describe that. You can, if you say, well, I'm having a hard time paying the rent, people can say, and obviously this is making you want to use. The rest of the world doesn't understand that. The reason that we're building what we're building here, people, the reason that the comment section has a hard time describing it. You know what I mean? People who just get here for the first time write stuff like, there's something magic going on here. I saw that today. You have something really special here. That was written. It's this. It's you. You understand? It's the fact that all of us really have been in the same boat. The worst thing is going to your dad and you can't look him in the face. You know what, Ryan? I am an authority on this. For real. I lost my father on February 28th of this year. And I looked my father in the eye, who was a man that had never done a drug in his life. He wasn't that generation. If you said to my dad that people were getting high, he assumed it had something to do with alcohol, because for his generation, there really wasn't anybody getting high. I mean, obviously there was, but they were not like it is now, where everybody knew somebody. The stoners were really the stoners, and they just sort of kept to themselves, most of them playing jazz, right, or working in Hollywood. It was really a time when drugs were just frowned on. There were no movies joking about it or anything else. So for my dad, it was so foreign, and I wasn't saying, hey, I'm getting high. Hey, I'm addicted to heroin. I mean, you couldn't do any worse. I said to him, Dad, I have a drug problem. And the look on his face. And he said, what is it? What drug are you on? And I said, heroin. And I remember him going, heroin? He couldn't logically get through his head that there was a chance that of all the drugs on the planet, I chose heroin. Like this was such a foreign concept. And I know that look, brother. I know exactly what you're talking about. Here's the thing. You're going to have to endure that look, but you're not going to have to live with it. I promise you. because that look will transform. When you start fighting this good fight, that look will change. And it'll change slowly, I promise. But in the beginning, you use that look for your why. I don't ever want to see that again. I don't want to put my father through that again. Make it your why. Remember it. Seriously, savor it. I'm not being a jerk, but savor the flavor. Make sure that you don't forget what that look looks like, because this is going to be the motivator that gets you to where that look starts to change. And when it does, at first, it's the look of recognition. You're going to see a look in your dad's eyes where he realizes that you're fighting and you're doing what needs to be done. He's going to realize you are putting in the effort. Do you understand what that means? That is going to be something that will affect you for the rest of your life. And if you keep fighting the good fight, that recognition will transform once again. And the next time, it's going to be respect. I promise you, man. The next time, it's a look of respect where your father thinks he is doing what needs to be done. You will gain back respect, and it's a different kind of respect, Ryan. It really is. It's a kind of respect that most people never get a chance to see in someone else's eyes, that you fought a demon and you won. You have any idea how cool that is? And after that, just admiration and love. But it's a process, and it's one that you've got to get through. But the first step you already did, right? The fact that you say you saw that disappointment means that you looked him in the eyes and you told him the truth. Do you know how many addicts at 24 aren't going to do that for 20 more years? I wasn't 24, bro. I was not 24. And I'll tell you something right now. There is nothing on the planet. There is nothing on this planet that I would not do. Nothing on this planet that I would not do to have told my father that at 24. For real. If he said, I'll give you another shot at it, but you're going to die at 55, I would do it. You won the lottery as far as being intelligent and deciding to tell your father what you did at your age. There is nothing better. So Andrew Golden said, I just exist. My day is get drunk or suck. You know what, my friend? It also said, did you say stare at a 45? Are you referring to a gun, my friend? Listen, never, ever talk about a permanent solution to a part-time problem. For real. If you're talking about a gun, brother, you need to seriously go and get help and do it now, because you're talking about a permanent solution to a problem that can be fixed. You don't fix a part-time problem with a permanent solution. There is no reason on God's green earth to take yourself out. I promise you, your problem is alcohol. That's what needs to change. But everyone's life sucked. There's not a person on this boat right now, right? There's nobody here that didn't feel like you do. Nobody. I love my life, man. I really do. I love every minute of it. And I was ripping off banks for money to pay for my heroin habit. I was at the lowest point that the average person can even dream about in terms of drugs and alcohol, right? I had a $600 to $700 a day heroin habit, and I had to feed my arm every single day. And if I didn't, the pain was exquisite, right? I would vomit and defecate on myself. But if you're thinking of hurting yourself, man, go get professional help. Do you hear me? Seriously. There's no shame in saying I need help. But if you're toying with a gun, get it the hell out of your house now. The problem with alcohol is we make very bad decisions when we're on it, right? It depresses the part of your brain that makes good decisions. Do not mix that with a firearm, for real. So if that's what you were saying by the 45, my God, my brother, get it out of your house and go get help. I'm talking about serious help. The nice thing is, everywhere on this country, if you tell someone you want to hurt yourself, they're going to get you help. And before you go, oh, I'm not doing, I spent 32 days on suicide watch. 32 days. It's a complicated story, but I'll give you a brief thumbnail of it. I spent all of Christmas, that entire season, on suicide watch. I told them that I was serious. I have a condition of the brain because of a lot of concussions that I had. And I don't want to get into all of the details of it, but I've had a lot of concussions. I used to ski professionally, and I bopped my head a lot before there were helmets were required. So when I got the diagnosis, it looked grim and it was not very realistic. I'm obviously doing considerably better than they said I was going to, but they were talking about diapers and people having to take care of me. And I said, I don't want to do this. And I was so seriously considering doing it that I went and told somebody. And I ended up in a suicide watch. And in order to get off of it, I had to sign a piece of paper agreeing to be sent to a part of the country for treatment that I was not ready to go to. Plain and simple, I just was not ready to go. And I was on suicide watch for that entire time. And it was the best Christmas that I ever spent in my life, because the people that came to see me every day were convicts. And I had an opportunity to talk to some people that truthfully cared for no apparent reason, really honestly cared. Hold on one second. The one where you guys got into a brawl at a frat house. Oh, Lord, I am not telling any fight stories with me and Johnny. I assume you're talking about the one where Johnny was, probably would have been in Windsor. Johnny was wearing a frat shirt, flipped a bottle cap, got a guy on the tip of the nose. Yeah. Stories that I would much rather not talk about. Funny stuff, truthfully, but yeah, just real quickly, my friend, please hear me. Get the gun out of the house, right? And go talk to some people for some help. It's the most important thing in the world. If there's nothing else I say today that means anything, do you understand? The most important thing in the entire world, I want you to hear me right now. Get that gun out of your house. When you drink alcohol, the parts of your brain that make good decisions is the first part of your brain that gets drugged. They call it a depressant, right? It's going to depress the parts of the brain that are making really good decisions. And if you continue to drink, eventually they depress the parts of your brain that handle things like breathing. That's why people who drink far too much die, because they'll get to the part where the respiratory part of the brain, and you'll just stop breathing. But the first part, I mean, how many times have you done something the next day you go, oh God, I can't believe I did that. That was the dumbest thing ever, because you're not in your right mind. When you start taking that stuff in there, you're really opening yourself up to a lot of trouble. And it's just not worth it. Drugs and alcohol will do nothing but destroy you. And you don't have a firearm around if using that. He said it's what got him put in lockup. I also went to lockup for possession of a firearm. Get the damn thing out of your house. I'm telling you that from love, brother. Get the thing out of your house. If you're going to continue down the road of drinking, get the 45 out of your house. Please. Please. You won't know what a great decision you made, because the horrible things that could happen won't. But trust me, get it out of your house. Give it to somebody you care about. Get it out of your house. Nothing good is going to come of it, brother. Please, please. For you, for me, for everybody, get it out of your house. I cannot stress that enough. I really can't. He says, Dillard says, God saved me so many times. My childhood trauma was bad, and God gave you the strength to make it through. For a great many people, the answer is God. I don't preach it from the front. I don't. And there are people that seem upset by that, and then there are people that seem relieved by that. God is what saved me too. No question. It is. But I'm not telling you that that's the road you got to take. But I'm telling you that if you're using right now today, that you need to take a step. And whether you use God, whether you use going to a professional facility, and if that's not something that you're ready to do, then talk to the people around you who care about you. Come here. Come to the boat. Talk to people here and tell them you're wanting to quit, and we'll support you as much as we can from here. But there are times where you're going to need more than what you get here. Derek N says you'll either get pissed off at something so small, or yourself, and brother, alcohol will make it 10 times worse. Get rid of it. Look, you're talking to two guys, right, who have both pissed away years of their lives that they can't get back. A smart person learns from their mistakes. A genius learns from other people's mistakes. Learn from me and Derek. If it were not for guns, right, our lives would be different. Both of us. Get them out of the house, bro. Get it out of your house. I'll tell you something right now. I wouldn't be in a home with a gun. I wouldn't. I don't think this. I'm not the guy that says ban firearms. No, just keep them the hell away from me. Right? I have no problem with people that want to own guns. Just keep them away from me. I'm not a guy that can be around anything like that ever again in my life. I'm now, if they come in and find a gun in my house, I'm going away for 10 years. Bottom line, I'm going away for 10 years. I don't have to do anything with it. Doesn't have to be loaded. And if it is loaded, I'm going to get another year for every bullet. People, don't play with, there's things you don't play with, man. That is one of them. Absolute Truth says, nothing leaves a bad taste in one's mouth when a loved one commits suicide. It never leaves the sadness, guilt never, he says, my mother committed suicide 2 weeks before my firstborn was born. I am so sorry, my friend. But I'll tell you something. You talk about taking something that could not be more tragic and doing something positive. The fact that you're sharing this right now where you're sharing it, I can't begin to tell you the level of respect I have for you for that. That can't be easy. It's got to be a difficult thing to type. But my God, thank you. Please hear what this man just said, because that's the other option, right? If you're not hurting somebody, you're hurting yourself. And it's the most selfish act on the planet. For those who are left behind, the pain is so much worse. It's just staggering. It really is. Please get it out of your house. Does someone who uses heroin have to take it more often during a typical day than pain pills? No. It's probably pretty similar depending on how deep into the pain pills someone is. There was a time in my life where I was eating Loratab as the way to get high. And the reason was I had a direct hook to a pharmacy and I could literally get Loratab a couple of thousand at a time. And I was eating 14 of them, right? These were the 10s. I was eating 14 of them at a time, and I did that like 3 times a day. When I did heroin, it required fixing twice. And it required considerably less in the beginning, which is why so many people trans off of pills to heroin. The trouble with that as a plan is that that really small amount of heroin that will take care of you for a day will snowball so fast and so out of control. And where it really becomes dangerous is someone who's on pharmaceuticals, and they're awful. I'm not giving them a pass by any stretch. But when you're taking pharmaceuticals, you're taking a pill that is made in a laboratory and has quality control on it. When you're buying heroin, more often than not, you're buying it from 4 or 5 different dealers. You have no clue the strength of it until you test it. You know how you test it, right? You do it. And when you start doing drugs you haven't tested, awful things happen. And while we have been on the phone, while we've been on this live feed, we have lost people in this country. You know, today, since I did the morning video, we've probably lost in the ballpark of 100 to 190 people that have died today from drug overdoses. The drugs in this country, a really odd thing happened. For the longest time, heroin was very, very expensive because the way it was sold was very, very structured. And I went through this in many cities, but I've been a drug user, a heroin user for a very long time. And you could buy from, say, 8 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night. Then they shut down because they know after that they got a really good chance of getting robbed. So what ends up happening was they could set the price. They could make sure you could only buy it in bags this big. But when people in the drug trade realized just how much money could be made, they started bringing more dope across. And I mean tons and tons and tons of it. And all of a sudden, people started selling it in larger quantities. Now a user can go buy a piece, 25 grams, or he can go buy an ounce, or he can buy a pound or a kilo. You can get all that now in the States. That didn't used to be that way. And so many people were competing for the pool of people who use that the only way to make it so that you would stick out is to say, guaranteed, we're going to deliver it. We're going to have it to you within 10 minutes. Sounds crazy, right? But they literally became like Domino's pizzas. You call a dispatch, they get it in 10 minutes. Everybody started doing that. So how do you distinguish yourself then? Well, you make your dope stronger. Okay, well, if you're going to make your dope stronger, well, I'm going to make my dope stronger because everybody wants to win that customer. But the trouble is, you keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger dope. And the newest thing is, well, we'll just throw some fentanyl in. And this is going to sound insane, but I did time with a guy who was convicted for intentionally spiking 1 bag of dope out of every batch that he put out for the purpose of killing the person that did it. Convicted. He's doing life in prison. But that was the plan. Because if he could kill one person, this was on the East Coast where the dope comes in what's called a stamp, right? So on the outside of the little plasticine fold, heroin fold, it would have a stamp on it. They wanted the user, the heroin addict, would say, they hear on the news, a drug overdose just happened. A guy died on heroin because of the strength of it. The stamp on the outside was a blue monkey. Well, now they're all going around going, who's got the blue monkey? As crazy as it sounds, people, an addict wants the strongest stuff in the world. And the thought process is always, oh, well, it would kill him, but my habit's ridiculous. It's just going to get me high. I want the killer stuff. And this guy was intentionally killing one person in every batch because it was good for business. Don't think for a hot second that getting from pills to heroin is going to be a cheaper or a better method. It's not. If the best method, brother, is to get off of it. And if you can't, if you have opiate abuse disorder and you're so far into it that it's just not something that you're going to be able to do, well, then you have MAT, right? You have medical assisted therapy. There are ways to get treatment now, or they're going to work on coating your brainstem so that you can concentrate on your life for the next 5 years without worrying about that next fix, without worrying about needing to feed the dragon, right? Or chase the dragon or anything else that you have to do. But it requires stepping up to the plate. It requires taking that first step and saying, I want out of this life. The good news is, I seriously doubt you're on this channel because you want to remain in the life, right? If you're listening to the sound of my voice, it's probably because you want out. Now's the time, right? It really is. It's not going to get easier. It isn't. Every single day that you stay in, it's going to get more difficult. There is no way to, there's no way for this to, and the fallacies, right? All of the different things that you believe because you're just in the life, like, well, I'll taper down. Yeah. Derek can back me up on the whole taper down thing. Mark can back me up on the taper down thing. If you're on subs, you can taper down. That's why they use it for treatment. If you're on methadone, you can taper down. That's why they, choose it for treatment. But the other ways, you're spinning your wheels. It's never really going to happen, no matter how much you think it's going to. It's a joke. Derek N says, Bent, I am so sorry, brother. I really am, but we're here, brother. We really are. You know what? I love you people. This was the dream. It really was. I was, when I was in a prison cell, this was my dream. He says, the biggest worry is I want to look after my parents, but the shape I'm in, I can't. Well, then you need to get into different shape, don't you, Ryan? That's what needs to happen. And you've made the first step. Now what you need to do is follow through. You need to absolutely push through. The next stage is to go in and get the detox. I take care of my mom. My dad's gone. I take care of my mom. And the rest of my family would. You know what I mean? They would have done it. They would have moved from wherever they happened to live and chose a home closer to my mother's. But I'm doing it. The guy that was addicted is here. And there's no greater satisfaction in the entire world than knowing that my mom's not going to be alone and that I'm going to be the one to do it. There is no better satisfaction. It's a high. It's an amazing high. My children can call me and say, I need you, and I'm there. That's a high. And that's a high that they can't take from you, and they can't arrest you for it. You're going to learn over time, and everybody who's fighting the good fight can back me up on this. You're going to learn over time that the things that really start to light your fire, the things that really start to turn your crank, so to speak, are going to be things you didn't even realize could produce that feeling in your brain. I mean, for the longest time, we thought the only thing that would give you those feel-good chemicals were drugs, but that's simply not the case. Mark Wages says, Ryan, it's okay to do it for someone else. You don't have to do it for yourself. Doing it for them is really doing it for yourself in many ways. It's absolutely the truth. And people get hung up on this. They say, well, you got to quit for yourself. I didn't. I'm telling you right now, I didn't. But I do now. Now, everything I do, I structure my life in such a way to make sure I take care of myself because I'm not going to let down the people I love. But when I quit, I didn't care about me enough to quit. I didn't. I quit because of the other people in my life that were so important to me. I didn't want to see that look in my dad's eye that you were talking about ever again. I didn't want to. And like I said, I believe in God, and he hooked me up because I did not die. I mean, my dad did not die when I was in prison. I don't know what I would have done if that had happened. but I used to pray every day that I would get out before that happened. And thank God I did, but I got to see my father at peace. I got to see my father proud of where I had got to. My dad passed away knowing I was sober and told me before he died that he believed I was never going to use again, that he really thought this was the time, and that he believed that. My God, you have no idea how good that felt. I'm telling you, Ryan, I can't tell you how good that felt. And it's one of those things that motivates me. I do believe in a God. I do believe that wherever my dad is, he knows what's going on. And I am never going to have something happen in my life that would disappoint him. My brother constantly will shoot me he'll send me something that just says, your dad's proud of you, don't you? 357 says Papa Scoville videos with Johnny are legendary. You know what, man? They are. They really are. They're so cool. And it's I'm blessed beyond words that they're there, because I can go back and watch them, and it's like, and I do. I watch the hell out of them. I watch those videos so often I can't explain it. And there's a lot of them, but they're he was I'm blessed. He was a great man. And you know what, people? I said yesterday, we're gonna hate the hate. We're not gonna hate the haters. There are people out there that have even attacked the memory of my father in the last week or so. You know what? As reprehensible as that is, we got to quit hating the haters. We really do. We can hate the hate, but these people need prayer. I mean, they really do. They need positive energy. If we hate them for what they're doing to me and to the boat, we're not leaving this earth a better place than we found it. We're letting them win. The only way that these people get any traction at all is if they get us to hate. And let's just not do that, man. Seriously, I've gotten some emails from people to talk about just how much they really, really dislike these people. Tommy, have you heard of people abusing gabapentin? Gabapentin is a drug that is used to treat seizures, and it's also used to treat nerve-ending nerve pain. So restless leg syndrome they use. Fibromyalgia gets used a lot. Its name brand was Neurontin. When it first came out, it was under the name brand Neurontin, but now it's being sold in the yes, he did love green Tabasco. It was his favorite. Now it's being sold in the generic form because it's anytime a drug is made, the people that made it are allowed to sell it exclusively for a period of time to recoup the amount of money that it cost in development and all of that. After that time is gone, then anybody can manufacture the same substance. So gabapentin is the drug that was found in the name brand Neurontin. And yes, there's a ton of people who abuse it. It was super popular in terms of abuse in the federal prison system until they removed it from the formulary because of how many people abuse it. Very often it is given out in like 600 or 1200 milligram doses. People in prison would try to eat it in closer to 3,000 to 5,000 milligrams. And the word on it is that it gives you kind of a body buzz. My experience with gabapentin is tends to make people really talkative. I was on it for probably 5 or 10 years, but I never tried to take it to get a buzz. I really didn't even realize that was a thing until I had gotten to the federal prison. I most assuredly would have tried to eat it to get a buzz. More often than not, I didn't even bother taking it. But there are a lot of people who abuse it. It's a drug, from my understanding, that processes out through the kidneys more than the liver. But it's just like anything else. We're better off if we're just not abusing anything. You know what I mean? We really are. But for the people who take it, it takes a long time to get into your system, right? The people that take it usually don't feel relief from it, sometimes as long as an hour and 15 to an hour and 20 minutes, which is rare. That's a long time. But yeah, a lot of people are abusing gabapentin. It's in the same family as Lyrica, which is pregabalin, right? Pregabalin is Lyrica is like the new gabapentin. It's like the newer version of it. It's a little bit more expensive. People say that they have more success with it. I took Lyrica for pain management and put on like 25 pounds. And that's one of the side effects of it that a lot of people say that they have. that's sort of the reality of people that take Lyrica tend to put a lot of weight on with it. Derek says, however you spell it. Yeah, don't ask me to spell anything. Not really my strong suit. Never won a spelling bee. I don't think I was ever in a spelling bee either, but the V. Crispin, Lyrica messed you up with the question marks. Yeah, I would be curious, Fee, your opinion on Lyrica as well. She said she got wicked hallucinations. I have heard that before from people. There are, and again, this is this is it's not a drug you would take if you broke your leg. It's not that kind of a painkiller. But if you're experiencing pain that is pretty much exclusively from nerve pain, right? Pinched nerve, things like that, they tend to give you either gabapentin or pregabalin Lyrica, right? So Neurontin or Lyrica. My favorite food topic question. He said a little off topic. Lighten it up a little bit. Like if I was allowed one meal, believe it or not, people, I like steak tartare. That is my favorite meal, which is it's really, really good meat that they grind up. They don't cook. And then they serve it with a raw quail egg on top of it. They dice up small shallots and put it on top, and then whatever the sauce is. And everybody who makes steak tartare uses a slightly different sauce. But yeah, if I got a shot at eating anything that I want on the planet, and I find a restaurant that has it, steak tartare is definitely my favorite food. And if not, then a cooked steak, like a porterhouse, so rare that the restaurant doesn't want to serve it to me. That's usually what my go-to for favorite meals. And I realized that, you know what, Stefano, I got a joke, right? Had to work in that Vegemite. Security, get this gentleman off the boat. No, Vegemite, people, if you haven't tried it, you really shouldn't. It's awful. It's terrible. Really, really bad stuff. Yeah, raw egg, Derek. They just take the yolk, though. And I know it sounds foul. Like the first time somebody described steak tartare to me, I thought, how rotten this was. But Bradley Smith says, we take life for granted. There's always somebody else worse off than me. I thank the Lord for the blessings in my life. I support anyone who wants to have a go. If you need support, just say so. Man, that is the coolest thing. What a beautiful, beautiful comment, Bradley. That is awesome, man. Again, the dream of this boat being taken to the next level by people like you. God bless you, man. What a cool thing to say. And the expression Johnny uses a lot, I end up using a lot, but it was something that I got from my dad. I wept because I had no shoes until I saw a man that had no feet. And that, we do tend to, as addicts, because addicts want everything that they want, and they want it now. It's like the defining characteristic of who we are. But it really is one of those situations where we focus so much on ourselves that often we can't see the forest for the trees. But it is such a skill to really kind of put your life into perspective, because there is always somebody that has it worse. There are, and we tend to just get down on ourselves. There's a story that I could read. I've thought about doing it a couple of times on the air. Maybe I will later on down the road. But it was written by a guy who worked at a place called Cantor, which is in the World Trade Center. But he writes it. You don't know that when you start reading it. And he talks about getting up in the morning to go to work, and his wife said, "What are you doing? It's your day to drop off the twins." And he had to get the kids ready and put them in the car. He said, and I was looking at being 10 minutes late no matter what I did, and my boss was going to lose it. So he's driving like a bat out of hell because he's got to make this meeting and he's going to be yelled at, and he gets pulled over by the cop. And he goes, "God, help me." And he literally said, "God, you got to hate me." And he just continued. He said one thing after another. And as he drove away, he spun the tires, did something. And the cop lit him up again just to yell at him. And he, again, literally said, "God, what is it? You just out to get me?" He said, and as he rounded the corner, he saw the second plane hit exactly where his office would have been. And it's just, we tend to think, woe is me constantly until something slaps us in the face to give us an idea that everybody at Cantor died, but that man wasn't in the office. But 6 minutes earlier, he was thinking just how much God disliked him for not getting him to work on time. It's just we tend to focus on our own misery, and it's something that as addicts we really got to get out of the. When did I walk out of the TBA? I assume that you're talking about the out of prison in October last year. So I will be out 1 year here shortly. Yep, it was October of last year, and it was an odd exit because we were still on quarantine in prison, so it was bizarre. They quarantined inside the quarantine, inside the quarantine, inside the quarantine. I'm not even kidding you. Like, everybody was quarantined, and our unit was the quarantine unit. So if you were, even though every other unit was already quarantined, if you were getting ready to go to another prison or go anywhere else, they would quarantine us in the unit that I was in. So I was surrounded by people that were all going home, which means they had all been tested, right? In order to go home, you had to be tested. So there was like 60 of us in there that were permanent residents. Everybody else coming through was tested every other day because they wouldn't let somebody leave that was on COVID. So when my time came to get ready to leave, I had to leave my cell, go 3 doors down, and go in and get locked into that cell, not able to leave for 3 weeks and get tested constantly. They just kept quarantining us. When did you go walk out of your job, brother? Sorry, your phone is messed up. I left my job Monday morning. Monday morning was the end of my job. And I got some job prospects for some pretty good stuff coming up. I told everybody about yesterday, but I will be. That job made doing what I'm doing here very, very difficult, and that's just not something that I'm going to do. 357 said, I was born in 1977. September 2001 changed our lives forever. It's when life turned to, and then he put a question mark. You know what? It really did change the planet. It did, and especially here in America. But it really, really changed. And you know what? There was a period of time where I think it changed us for the better, and it's just, there was a period of time right after that happened when everybody. Maybe Johnny can help you get more subs so you can do this for a job, brother. You know what? As far as doing this for a job, I think that I'm not going to. I'm going to continue to build this channel, and I would like to do it very much organically. I probably could go and beat the drum on my brother's channel for 2 or 3 weeks, and do stuff together with him, and it will bring in a lot of subscribers. Really, what I want more than anything else, though, is the crossover is great. The people that I got from my brother's channel that stuck around want to be here for that reason, but I don't want necessarily followers here because I'm a Scoville. What I would really like more than anything are subscribers here that, like the ones that are here right now. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir. Everyone who's here right now is here because they want to help people, and that's awesome. He says, I felt good after, though, because I have to do the same thing. If you're referring to walking out of work, I mean, I absolutely felt good about doing it. It was not, here's the other thing, and I don't want to say this, but I have to. I'm hoping that here's the thing. The place I just worked, there's a lot of people at the place I just worked who watch this channel. And the last thing in the world I want to do is upset any of these people. But to be really, really honest with you, there was a pretty decent drug presence at the last place I worked. And it's not some place that I was really, really comfortable being. Yes, Bradley, that was beautifully said. And if Bradley, if you were leaving, good night, my brother. That was one of the coolest comments. It really is the dream of this channel. It's the dream of this channel is that people who come here, and they come here because they want to help, and they come here because they need help. I mean, that's what this is about. It really is. I don't want. Oh, you're staying. Good. That's even better. People, you know how I do the tell me I'm lucky that you're here and all of those things? People, the last thing in the world that I give two rats you know what's about. Um, is the YouTuber, cult personality, any of that garbage. The This channel has a very clear-cut mission of what it wants to do. And I swear to you, this is the truth. If I found somebody that I thought did this better than me, I would just follow them and see if I could take everybody with me. I mean, for real. I just want the dream of what we are doing here to work, and I think it's working. I take that back, man. I know it's working. The things that are going on here, the people who are being helped, the letters that are being written, we're breaking ground here, and we're taking social media, which I would expect people to get out of prison and get a job with a felony record. I will touch on that in a second. I promise you. People, what we're doing here really is breaking the mold. He says there is not a normal channel. There is not any other channel like this breaking the mold. There isn't. We're using social media for a social reason. We're using social media to actually change this planet and do something good with it. And I mean, there are religious channels out there that are trying to do that, but for a secular channel, somebody that's not, doing that, really what it boils down to is that, we're doing something that hasn't been done before. And we're going to keep doing it, and we're going to keep growing it the way we're doing it. And hopefully everybody here is here for the long ride, because this is such a great group of people right now. It really is. Derek, reach out to me. CaptainTommyScoville@gmail.com. You ever need me? I've been where you've been. You ever need me, brother, reach out. I promise you I'll be there for you. One of the questions that I was reading right before I realized Derek was leaving, and I had to say good night to Derek. This was a great night. Derek, I'm really glad that we connected. But the question was asked, how do they expect somebody to get out of prison and get a job with a felony? It's a challenge. It absolutely is a challenge. I'm a pretty good communicator, and I had a career. I was there were things that I could do within my field that no one will ever touch me ever again because of my criminal record, and that's sort of the gist of it. So very oftentimes the jobs I get, although they pay really well, they're jobs that would probably be better suited to somebody 25 than somebody 51. It's often, labor intensive kind of stuff, and it's not stuff that often is really super challenging to the intellect. And very often when I go to these places, you get people that come up and go, man, what are you doing working here? And then you got to go through this is the kind of job that is open to me because of my criminal record. I don't lie on job applications. I don't do any of those things. The last administration, whether you like them or not, passed a bill that has actually helped felons in a really big way. There are some programs now out there for companies that hire felons to where they don't have to pay taxes on us for the first couple of years that we work there. And this is really encouraging some places. I mean, I've gone to job interviews recently where people, as opposed to saying, usually you go in and they go, yeah, can you pass a background check, right? Is that possible? Now it's, hey, have you got a criminal history? Because for the first time in a long time, it is financially a benefit to them if if by some chance they hire a felon, they're going to save an awful lot of money on taxes. So you do see some more acceptance as far as that goes. Now my screen is completely frozen, I guess I should say. So I'm hoping that everybody can still see me. Can I get a 5x5 by somebody? Yeah, I don't know whether or not I'm still. This is always the challenge where you're talking and you have no idea whether or not. Yes, I am still here. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. We are still here. People, I'm going to give us the countdown to let us know that I'm going to be wrapping this thing up shortly so that we can start to get the goodbyes in. In about 8 minutes, we're going to call this a night. People, I don't remember a better live feed. I don't know whether or not you all feel the same way. It's always a challenge to, you always question whether or not you view things differently when you're looking at this side of it as opposed to looking at the other side of it. But I don't remember a live feed that were as many really great sort of interactions where we've really talked to some people and had an opportunity to help some people. I think this has been a great live feed. It's and again, like always, because the crew has stepped up to the plate in ways that are just above and beyond the call. You people are this channel. Really, the bottom line. You people are this channel. You could replace the image, and we could change how it looked when you showed up. You could probably change a lot about this channel, including swapping out me. But the crew that we have built here is bulletproof. The way that you people are assisting everyone, the way that you people are stepping up to the plate with letters and the goodbye letters to drugs, all of the different things you're doing to make this experiment work and work so much better than anybody could have ever dreamed. That is all you. That really is all you. And from the bottom of my heart, I can't thank you enough for all that you people are doing to make this extraordinary, to make this something magical, and to continue to help people in ways that I could only dream about, before this got rolling. Unfortunately, I can't see anything you people are saying. The camera, I can see that it scrolls up, but it's not really something where I can get a good look at it. I'm gonna see if I can pull this up on the other screen. If not, it's all right, because there's no way to get on even at this point. So, but as long as I'm still here, that that's good stuff. I can still talk to you people as long as I'm still being heard. I'll keep this going for a little bit longer before we call it a night. It has been absolutely amazing to be here and to have all of the people that have been here tonight working so hard to support the crew. If you have not heard Mr. Alan Ballantyne's Goodbye Letters to Drugs, please do that. It is absolutely essential that Mr. Mark Wages says, good night, everybody. Good night, Mark. I am so happy that you got on here. And as always, I could not be happier that we crossed paths. You really are an amazing person, and I'm blessed that you're such a huge part of this. You're the cream of the crop, Mark. So people, the state of the boat is good. I want to thank all of you. Again, if you didn't catch Alan Ballantyne, when you see him, perhaps you could tell him that this right here is waiting, because the 2 letters that he wrote, the positive impact that they're having on people's lives already, people talking about this already, and it's just such a statement on what it is we're doing here. It doesn't really get a whole lot better. The best example of what this boat means are these goodbye letters, and if you haven't written one yet, you need to. You don't necessarily need to have me share it with the world. That's completely up to you. But you got to write that goodbye letter. There needs to be an exclamation point that puts an end to the last life, and one that starts the new one. So that would be. I think that's essential. And on that note, people, we got 2 minutes, so we're going to say our goodbyes. People, Captain Tommy Scoville, you're on the Lifeboat. You're on the Lifeboat Live. If this is the first time that you popped on one of these, I want to thank you for coming on. It means the world to us. We do them, I don't want to say every night, but we do them most nights. So usually around 9 o'clock Pacific time. Please get back on them. Continue to show up. Continue to help one another. And between now and tomorrow morning, when the next video goes up, there's something I want all of you to do. Go out there and try to save somebody. All right? Please. You're doing a great job up to this point. Love each and every one of you, and we'll see you on the next video. I'm out of here.